Hello and welcome to my reaction to the next episode of the Epic History TV China series. And this time we've got the Great Leap Forward. I guess we're continuing right after the end of World War II, the win by the communist forces, the retreat from, Chiang Kai-shek and his forces to Taiwan. I think that's more or less where we at last time. Ton of deaths, ton of messed up stuff. I mean, it was the end of World War II, right? The Japanese invasion, the rape of Nanking, etc. It was probably the heaviest episode last time, but very interesting. Like so much stuff that I knew and so much stuff that I didn't. So I learned a lot. And I'd say today is gonna be like even better because I'd watched the Time Ghost History, World War One and World War Two series before, so I knew quite a bit of stuff up to that point. But the Great Leap Forward and everything after World War Two for China, I'm really kind of blind. I just know that there was a lot of madness coming still, but I don't know the details or anything. So yeah, we're gonna be learning. Epic History is peak as always. I wish more people reacted to them right now. There's like a channel, a couple, they're pretty great. We are doing like the Napoleon series, right? And it's great, but no one else I think is reacting to stuff right now. So hopefully more people will. I can never get enough reaction to their stuff. That's why, as I said, like that's why I started doing it myself. To their new videos. Yeah. Anyway, link for the original video in the description, the link to the Epic History channel, my Discord, Stream Element, Patreon, if you want to follow or support me. Let's check it out. The east is red and the sun rises. In China, there emerge Mao Zedong. It's a song. Mao did really well. The People's Republic. Really well.
China,
in the aftermath of World War II.
1949. From Peking's Tiananmen Square, Communist leader Mao Zedong has proclaimed the establishment of the People's Republic of China. A new age for China, for the Chinese Communist Party, and for Chairman Mao. He has devoted his life to revolution and to his dream of transforming China. Now is his moment. Mao's government calls itself a People's Democratic Dictatorship. But democracy is not on the agenda. Instead, the heart of government is the Central Committee of around 100 senior party members. Above that, the 12-strong Politburo. And within that, the Politburo's Standing Committee, where true power lies. There are 5 members, including Liu Shaoqi, a veteran labor organizer who studied in Moscow. He is now vice chairman of the Communist Party.
All right.
Zhou Enlai, a hero of the revolution, once Mao's superior within the party, but who has now publicly and privately committed to Mao's leadership. Charming and polite, he has shown a great talent for diplomacy and will serve as Communist China's first state premier and foreign minister. And Mao himself, chairman of the Chinese Communist Party and paramount leader. Aged 55, Mao now wields unchallenged personal authority, the result of his inspiring leadership in the struggle against the Japanese and nationalists.
Yeah, there's definitely something, like when I think of Mao and what I knew before is that, even though, like, as I said, I don't really know what's coming after that, I know that it's a mess and, I guess it's attributed to Mao, right? So I didn't know that he was, like, somewhat pretty damn competent during the whole war with Japan and then, the Civil War, right? Like, the way the communists managed to take over China just after World War II was kind of crazy. So he was very competent in that, but competent as maybe a wartime leader rather than a peacetime leader, yeah.
Though never a natural orator, Mao is a charismatic figure, capable of deep intellectual thought, shrewd political tactics, and stirring writing. Since 1938, he has been married to his 4th wife, the famous actress Jiang Qing. she is a powerful personality in her own right, ferociously loyal to Mao, and scathing of his rivals, real or imagined.
Of course.
After years of
purges, I'm sure.
revolution, invasion and civil war, China is impoverished and in desperate need of reform and rebuilding. The Communist Party gets to work immediately to impose a vision on the country that is heavily inspired by Soviet thinking. To this end, around 10,000 Soviet advisors arrive in China to assist in reconstruction. The country remains an overwhelmingly agrarian society.
It's crazy that you know, the Soviets even had like the resource for that. I mean, they're just coming off World War II themselves. I mean, like, I think only like the Soviets are the one who lost the most people in the world by far. Like the country was, you know, like half of it was like a terrible battleground for most of it, and they still have time and resources to send to China as well. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Just, I mean, both countries are known for having like endless amount of people, right? But it's still kind of crazy.
In 1949, by rough estimate, every fifth person on Earth is a Chinese peasant.
That's the stat.
They have long provided the base for communist success in China, wooed by the promise of land redistribution, which has been enforced in communist-controlled areas since the early 1930s. Now it is to be rolled out on a national scale. Rural landowners, who have dominated the Chinese countryside for centuries, are vilified for abusing their power over peasants. They are publicly humiliated by the communists, put on trial, and executed in huge numbers.
Yeah, like on one side you can say, you know, it's fucked up, because, you know, that was just the way it was, right? I mean, they themselves were born, and from the beginning that's how it was, you know, like they are the good one, and, you know, they have control over the peasants, so like they never knew better, right? That's just how they were raised, you know. But I can't say I'm especially like sad either, you know, at this kind of turn, but we know where this is going, right? Like all of this is good on paper, but
million are killed.
Yeah. A million?
Their land
okay, that's
is
kind of insane.
and redistributed.
I mean, it's like the meme every time, like every video, you know, like every little thing in China is like a million people died. It's never like I thought it was gonna say like maybe 10,000 max or something. Like there was a million rich, like, okay. All right.
Over the next 3 years, about 300 million peasants receive land for the first time. Early reforms are intended to fundamentally reshape Chinese society. New laws improve the rights of women and protect their role in the workforce.
It is like the Soviet woman driving tractor, like a propaganda poster.
Rates of just 20%, the government promotes the use of simplified Chinese characters. Huge
Still very hard.
propaganda drives in theaters, public storytelling and posters aim to both educate and indoctrinate in communist revolutionary values. Suspected counter-revolutionaries, such as nationalist sympathizers, corrupt officials and capitalists, are to be reported and eliminated.
I'm sure that won't go out of control.
The campaigns upend China's traditional class structure, humiliating and impoverishing bourgeois and middle-class families. The number of victims is impossible to quantify, but hundreds of thousands suffer loss of status, confiscation of property, or imprisonment. Some are even forced to take their own lives.
It's really one of those things where, like, in a perfect way that this would have gone would be to, you know, not antagonize, you know, the people that used to have that power. It should just be, yeah, like in this new country, in this new place, you know, we all agree that everybody's equal, so you guys all lose your powers. But if you protest against it, yeah, you might die. But if you don't protest, well, you're just like everybody else and just go on about your life. Like, the way they're going here is always like, I mean, this is like the extreme way, right? So like, rather than trying to to do the more right way to fix the problem is just kill everybody who, it would take too much time and effort to do it the right way. It's sad. But change people's mind about how everybody should be kind of equal. The atom bomb is a paper tiger which the US reactionaries used to scare people. Paper tiger. China in the world.
China's new communist leaders seek to build alliances abroad, but World War II has been followed by the Cold War.
Yeah.
And the world is now divided between a democratic, capitalist West and the Soviet-led communist bloc. The Western powers offer no support to communist China.
Yeah.
In fact, they continue to recognize their wartime ally, Chiang Kai-shek, as China's legitimate ruler. His authoritarian nationalist government, officially known as the Republic of China, still holds Taiwan and small islands in the Taiwan Strait. Inevitably, it is to the Soviet Union that Mao turns.
Makes sense.
In December 1949, he travels to Moscow for 3 months of talks with Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin.
That's a lot.
Their relationship is not an easy one.
Really?
In imposing his own brand of communism in China, Mao has often overruled his Soviet-backed rivals.
But how different is it?
Nevertheless, in February 1950, the two leaders sign a treaty of friendship, alliance, and mutual assistance, unlocking economic and military cooperation between
There's always
China
treaties like
and the
that.
Soviet
Treaty
Union.
of eternal friendship and stuff like that. And then there's war 5 years later.
By the 18th century, the Qing dynasty had added several remote western territories to its empire. Mongolia, Xinjiang, and Tibet. But in the tumult following the 1911 revolution, they had escaped Chinese control. Now the communist government acts to reimpose central authority. In 1949, the people's...
I don't know anything about Xinjiang. I know Tibet is a pretty good place, but like Mongolia is surprising because isn't Mongolia like, it's a massive piece of land, but a lot of it is like not very habitable. You can't farm. Like we've seen some video once that like, Mongolia's population is very small and most of it, like 90% of it is concentrated in like just a few cities. Like, is it really that worth it for China to have Mongolia? Like, is it really that big of a deal? Obviously, we know that today Mongolia is still independent, right? But kind of, I don't know what Xinjiang is today. Is it under China? And Tibet is very contested, right, today? India is also contesting it, right?
Liberation Army is sent to reoccupy Xinjiang. In 1951, Tibet is occupied and annexed, following a short conflict the Chinese government euphemistically calls the peaceful liberation of Tibet.
I see.
As part of the settlement, the Dalai Lama is allowed to remain at the head of a local government. No attempt is made to regain Outer Mongolia, which is now within the Soviet sphere of influence.
Okay.
Taiwan remains a major source of contention. Both the communists and Chiang's nationalists continue to denounce the other side as bandits. And
it is really like interesting how they didn't try to take Taiwan back right away. I guess I don't know if like at the time Taiwan had much to offer. Like today, there's a lot to offer, with the chips and all that, I think, right? The chip manufacturing. But at the time, maybe they just thought like, there's like 1 million enemies on this tiny piece of land. Is it really that worth it for like the probably insane amount of casualties to take it back? So they were like, we'll do it eventually. And now here we are today, right? It's interesting though, because again, with like how aggressive, the like Mao and all of them were, that they would just not even try to take it back right away.
Their governments as illegitimate. Elsewhere, China's borders seem settled. But in 1950, the People's Republic of China faces a major conflict
Korean War.
on its doorstep. The Korean War.
I've been watching the Indian Idol series
After
about
World
it.
War II, Korea
It's great.
had been divided into two separate states, a communist north and democratic south. In June 1950, northern forces invade the south, advancing rapidly and capturing Seoul within a week.
They almost got everything, yeah.
Korea becomes a Cold War battleground.
It's just insane how, like, all those countries never get tired, like, you know what I mean? It's like, in the last 10 years, you know, like, World War II happened, then, you know, the, like, Civil War, and now the Korean War, and this is all, like, in just, you know, like, World War II was, you know, the world, but still, all in that piece of the earth, on that side of the earth, non-stop, like, tens of millions of casualties, non-stop. I mean, and, you know, if we've looked at the other video of China, and, you know, China, like, even before World War II, like, for decades, non-stop, millions of people dying, being killed, war, civil war, etc. Like, that area is just, like, for, like, most of the century, just kind of going insane, huh? It's just non-stop. Huh? Like, the Korean War is just insane to me. Like, after World War II, like, that any country would, like, just a few years after, be willing to still go to war. I mean, it's insane.
Under US leadership, UN troops intervene in support of South Korea.
Indeed. I guess I'm gonna get spoiled what happens. I haven't seen the full series from Indian Idol. I mean, it's not finished.
Close to the North Korean-Chinese border.
Then they push back.
Fearing a US-led invasion and hoping to shore up a communist ally, Mao sends in Chinese troops to support North Korea.
It's something that I had no idea about, and I feel like probably a lot of people don't, right? It's called the Korean War, right? So you think it's like the US versus North Korea, and, you know, South Korea versus North Korea, but yeah, like, it was an insane amount of Chinese troops, so technically, in some way, it was like China versus the US, like, it kind of happened, but I'd never heard about that before, yeah, that there was so much Chinese troops.
More than 1 million Chinese troops enter the battle, soon rising to 2.5 million.
Insane, huh?
In the face of this onslaught, UN forces retreat south. After months of heavy fighting, the war enters a stalemate. Both sides dig in along the 38th parallel. In 1953, an armistice is agreed, and this becomes the heavily fortified border between North and South Korea, known as the DMZ, Demilitarized Zone.
It's a mess to this day.
For China and for Mao, the Korean War is presented as a triumph. They have championed the global socialist cause and stood up to the US superpower.
But in reality, is it a triumph? Like, the point of North Korea was to fully take over South Korea, and in the end, they didn't. In the end, like, they had the same territory as they started, right? Or a bit less, maybe. And some amount of people died. I guess you can claim it as a victory because, yeah, like, you didn't get annihilated. But I don't know.
Perhaps even more importantly, communist legitimacy within China is greatly bolstered.
I see the point, yeah. It's a good
But
propaganda.
it comes at a huge cost. The Korean War claims an estimated 3 million lives. Chinese military casualties are more than 500,000, possibly many more.
But they don't care, clearly. I mean, it's good
They
propaganda. So
include Mao's own son, Mao An-ing, killed in a UN airstrike while
Maybe he
serving with
cares.
Chinese forces. In its efforts to curb the spread of communism, the US has now imposed a total trade embargo on communist China. The war has also strengthened US support for Chiang Kai-shek's government in Taiwan, with President Truman sending the US 7th Fleet to deter a potential communist attack.
Didn't know that. Let 100 flowers bloom. Maoist slogan 56. The first 5-year plan.
In 1953, China's government introduces its first 5-year plan, inspired by similar economic programs in the Soviet Union. One aim is to swiftly and massively increase Chinese industrial output. Huge efforts, backed by Soviet technical expertise, produce remarkable results in transport, industry, and infrastructure.
Yeah.
Production of coal, iron, and steel all exceed their ambitious targets. While China becomes a major oil producer for the first time. The second aim of the 5-year plan is to rapidly boost agricultural output.
Makes sense.
To this end, the Communist Party pushes farmers to collectivize on a massive scale, forming cooperatives that include dozens, sometimes hundreds of households.
Okay.
By 1956, 80% of peasant households belong to a cooperative, meaning they share the land, tools, and harvest. Cooperatives also have an ideological aim: to tighten party control over the lives and thoughts of rural communities. At breakneck speed, communist reforms are overturning a rural way of life that's centuries old.
It is insane, yeah.
Sowing the seeds of disaster.
The speed of everything is insane.
Mao is encouraged by the apparent success of the first 5-year plan. Hoping to encourage further innovation, in 1956 he announces, "Let 100 flowers bloom. Let 100 schools of thought contend." It is an invitation for others to come forward with constructive proposals for the government.
I mean, seems nice.
In response,
Tyranny, this is malevolence.
criticism of the party comes flooding in, from intellectuals, academics, and scientists.
Hey, he didn't say he wanted criticism, he said he wanted, like, ideas that would benefit him.
Mao
It
and the
didn't feel
leadership
right.
are dismayed and angered. Rather than welcome proposals, they move to crush what they now regard as dangerous dissent. A new anti-rightist campaign punishes at least 500,000 men and women who are considered
numbers, as always.
insufficiently loyal to the party.
The numbers are always insane.
Penalties include public humiliation, hard labor, and execution. Among the leaders of this brutal campaign, a new addition to the Politburo Standing Committee, the 52-year-old Deng Xiaoping. A veteran of the Long March, he will become a crucial figure in the years ahead.
Okay. The thoughts of the chairman are always correct. If we encounter any problem, any difficulty, it is because we have not followed the instructions of the chairman closely enough. Lin Biao. Okay. Yeah, I mean, can't refute that. I mean, you know. Of course, he's always right. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I have no arguments. Of course, he's always right. The great leap forward. It's really like, how did we go from like the government asking for ideas to, you know, Mao is always right and whatever he does, no matter how stupid it is, he's always right. Huh? Maybe I guess it's like, yeah, in response to all the hate that they got from asking for feedback, like that basically made them make a full 180 and just be like, yeah, no, who cares about what other people think? Clearly, they don't know what to think. They're stupid. We're smart. We know what to think, and we're always right.
1958, the start of a second 5-year plan. This time, even more ambitious. Mao calls it the Great Leap Forward, a huge program to create a truly socialist state and dramatically expand industrial output to catch up with the world's leading economies.
Things were already going well.
A huge public information campaign spreads the message throughout the country, urging every Chinese citizen to rise to the challenge and embrace Mao's leadership. Existing rural cooperatives are merged into vast people's communes, in which the party controls every aspect of daily life. The state now owns the land, buys harvests, and distributes rations. Private kitchens are banned as representing selfish individualism and replaced by communal canteens. Very quickly, the Great Leap Forward's ambitions become detached from reality.
I mean, like, it's kind of turned people into slaves at this point. I mean, you're saying that, like, they're, like, clearly their only purpose as human being is to work for the state, like, to the point that they can't even, like, have a private kitchen. Otherwise, it's bad. Like, you're not even supposed to, like, want to cook your own stuff or have your private kitchen. Like they want a robot, basically. It's insane. Man. Okay.
Many of the technicians and experts who should have overseen the campaign have been purged.
Of course.
Under intense pressure to meet unrealistic targets, local party officials exaggerate harvest figures. These inflated reports suggest large surpluses of grain, which is then taken from the communes to supply the cities. In reality, this means far too much grain is taken from the communes, often leaving them without enough to feed themselves. Drought, mismanagement, and corruption actually mean agricultural production is in steep decline. Millions of peasants now face starvation.
It's like the end from, like, what he was saying before, like the video was saying before, things were going kind of good. And it's really like, like you just want more when you should know how, like, you've eaten enough, it's like, yeah, like if I keep eating, my stomach will burst, but I've really eaten like a good amount already and I feel full, yeah. I guess I don't know how it is, as a government, like, how do you see the limit? Like, you see all the numbers are going up, you're like, well, how about we double it? How about we keep going up? But it should be obvious that there's a limit, right? I mean, yeah. Yeah.
On top of this, farmers face new nonsensical demands, like an order to use homemade foundries to produce iron, often of such poor quality, it's unusable.
Okay.
The result is a disastrous famine across China.
It's really sad. I mean, I'm sure it's obvious, but, like, again, I feel like I do want to believe that a lot of this, like some of those leaders, when they were fighting, like, they genuinely had an idea of, like, making China better, right? But now that they took control of the country, they clearly just got into this, like, broken mindset of, like, we want to catch up to the other world power. So, like, rather than, like, making it a better country by making, the people more happy, they just started looking at, like, all the people as, like, literally just, like, machines, tools to use to, like, make the country, like, a superpower. So, like, they're only tools to, like, farm, to do this, to do that. Rather than, like, trying to improve people's life, it's just, like, I want to believe that early on, yeah, they probably had some good ideas like that. But now that they came in power, yeah, they kind of lost the plot.
By some recent estimates, Mao's Great Leap Forward is responsible for at least 45 million excess deaths.
7%.
Around 7% of the population.
Insane.
It ranks as one of the greatest man-made disasters in history.
I feel like I've heard that 3 times in this series of video.
In the most hard-pressed areas, whole communes starved to death. Famine had always been a feature of life and death in China.
Yeah.
But the winter of 1960 is perhaps the darkest hour in the country's history.
Fucked up. Absolutely fucked up.
Reports of widespread chaos and suffering eventually seep through to the upper echelons of the party.
I mean, with 40 million people dying, like, I hope that there's no way that, they could, like, not hear about it. I understand that, a lot of, like, the people on the lower ranks might not want to report it because they're scared, but, like, 40 million people dying, like, ain't no way they don't notice.
In the summer of 1959, at a conference in Lushan, Minister of Defense Peng Dehuai openly denounces the Great Leap Forward and Mao's leadership.
Really?
Mao is not in listening mood. Peng is placed under house arrest and removed from office.
Well, yeah, don't criticize him if you don't plan a revolution.
General Lin Biao, is one of Mao's most loyal supporters. But as the months go by, the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. When news of the famine reaches Taiwan, Chiang Kai-shek seeks to humiliate Mao
in the Soviet Union
by ordering airdrops of food to the mainland. By 1961, the party has to acknowledge reality. Mao Zedong publicly accepts that mistakes were made. He remains chairman of the Chinese Communist Party, but for the next few years, he steps back.
It's insane. I mean, 40 million people died because of your mistake, but it's like, I'm sorry, guys. We're all human. We make mistakes. I mean, 40 million, that's just a number. Don't think about it too hard. I mean, I'll chill for a bit, and then when, it's what's on the bridge, I'll come back, and it's insane. It's so disgusting.
From frontline politics. In his
the
place,
rich, the powerful, the leaders.
Pragmatic leaders, notably Liu Shaoqi, Zhou Enlai, and Deng Xiaoping, take on the day-to-day business of government.
We do better.
Some of the policies that had led to the famine are abandoned.
Obviously.
Communes are reduced in size, communal canteens are abandoned, and some land returns to private ownership. But the party still controls all aspects of daily life, providing everything from healthcare to housing, education, and employment, while food remains rationed.
Yeah, I guess so. It's gonna take years to recover from the food
shortage. The work
shortage.
unit, not the family, is the basic unit of social and economic existence. Meanwhile, in 1958, the government adopts a new phonetic alphabet to encourage literacy in China. It is called Pinyin, and becomes the new system for the romanization of Chinese names. Peking becomes Beijing.
That's right, yeah.
Canton becomes Guangzhou. Nanking becomes Nanjing, with countless more changes. Pinyin spreads only slowly across China itself, and it is not until the 1980s that the new names are taken up abroad.
From what I've seen, today it's still like a lot of people will use classical Chinese or like simplified, right? That's why you often see, if you've ever been to a Chinese site like Bilibili, like a Chinese YouTube, for example, I used to post a lot of video on there. There's definitely like a lot of mixing between, the option to use traditional and simplified Chinese. I guess it's still kind of very mixed today. Who's using what? All over the world are now discussing whether a third world war will break out. If the imperialists insist on unleashing another world war, we should not be afraid of it. Bro. You should not want to join any more world war, seriously. After how many people died.
While enacting the Great Leap...
But yeah, I guess it just doesn't matter to people like him, I mean. Again, these leaders are so removed from the people, like, you tell them 40 million people died, it's like, it's just numbers on a piece of paper, like, they don't see the bodies, they don't see the suffering. Like, you know, like, the guy is rich, he's eating what he wants, he's doing what he wants, you know. Like, he doesn't see, all he sees is, like, numbers, that's it. He doesn't give a shit.
Forward at home, Mao takes an increasingly aggressive approach abroad. In August 1958, the Chinese army starts shelling islands in the Taiwan Strait, belonging to the Republic of China, testing nationalist defenses. The US response is emphatic, sending naval and air reinforcements to the region and deciding to use nuclear weapons if necessary. It is...
At this point, it wouldn't be like an atomic bomb anymore, it would be like the hydrogen bomb, right? Which is like insane amount of times stronger than atomic bomb, which terrifying.
One of the world's first serious nuclear crises.
Yeah.
The situation eventually reverts to a hostile standoff. But Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, who is pursuing a policy of peaceful coexistence with the West, is furious at Mao's recklessness. Relations between China and the Soviet Union, the world's two great communist states, are in steep decline. In 1956,
secret speech.
Khrushchev had denounced the excesses of Stalinism and the cult of personality. Mao is outraged by these views, and in turn denounces Khrushchev's views as a betrayal of communism.
But didn't he himself in the first place like deviate from Stalin and the Soviet Union's way of communism? Like, didn't he do that himself? Okay.
In his eyes, the Soviet Union has gone soft. It is a fatal ideological split. And after 1959, the two leaders will never meet again. That year, China faces a revolt against its rule in Tibet. In response, the Chinese army shells Lhasa. The uprising ends after 3 days of bloody street fighting.
They had no chance, yeah.
The Dalai Lama and 80,000 Tibetans
to
flee to India. From now on, Tibet is under direct Chinese rule. In 1962, tension on the Himalayan border between China and India explodes into a month of fighting as China grabs disputed territory. Tellingly, the Soviet Union backs India, not China.
I did not know that.
A sign of how far their relationship has broken down.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because what do they care about
Soviets have already
Tibet?
withdrawn all technical support for Chinese weapons programs. But China is no longer so reliant on foreign expertise. 1958, for example, had seen the founding of the University of Science and Technology of China in Peking. And in 1964, at Lop Nor
In the 60s, they got the atomic
Xinjiang
bomb.
province, China tests its first atomic bomb.
Well. Oh, I've seen this footage before, yeah.
2 years later, it detonates its first thermonuclear device.
Insane, this kind of footage. Huh?
China has joined the United States, Soviet Union, Britain and France to become the world's 5th nuclear power, adopting a no first use nuclear policy.
Which that is extremely surprising, isn't it? I don't know. You wouldn't expect it after everything. You'd think they'd be a first use country.
There is no longer any question that China stands on its own feet as a major world power.
Yeah.
But Mao and the Chinese Communist Party still see much work to do. Their next battleground
We get
will
more
be within
episodes.
Chinese
Tell me
society
we get more episodes.
itself.
The end.
The Epic History
Oh.
team uses heaps of technology to make our videos, from laptops and drives to headphones, microphones, and of course the dreaded cables. And when we're off on our
Cables.
travels, we all know how difficult it can be to keep those things organized.
What is this ad?
Thanks to our video sponsor, Bellroy, we may have just found the perfect solution.
It's a
Because
cable
the
bag.
entire Epic History team is now equipped with the sleek and versatile Bellroy Tech Kit.
Okay, about 10 already. I'll pause here, but obviously thank you to the sponsor, with which those amazing videos are getting made. Okay, great video. I definitely hope that they were teasing that there's going to be more videos in this series. It's already been a pretty insane series. I think it's been great. Like, very, very interesting. As always, I think what's great about Epic History is that they are not the most in-depth channel. I'm sure that, what they've covered in the 4 episodes of the series so far could be covered in like, hundreds of hours of the commentary, because there's so much more details that are important, right? But they're not one of those channels that also do like too much of an overview. I think Epic History still do a good job of like being in between, being too, super in depth or too summary like. I tend to be very particular about history channel I enjoy, and so many of them I feel like they're just like, they only cover the broad strokes so much that it feels uninteresting. So that's what I like about Epic History. Yeah. Good video. Definitely got pissed off a few times with the situation, but I guess you couldn't expect anything better, right? Like, considering the history of China for like the few decades before this, it was such a mess to even get there. I guess you couldn't really expect like stable government that doesn't make any mistake. Of course, it was gonna be bad, but man, it was really bad. I mean, the amount of deaths was insane. Yeah. In a sense, it's kind of like, again, what happens when the Soviets, after like the Russian revolutions and the Soviet taking over and after World War One, there's the Holodomor, right? Like an insane amount of people dying because of like the mistakes of the states, I guess. That's what happened. That's what happened. So yeah, insanely interesting as always. Epic Story, love it, top tier. I'll be looking forward to more videos. I'm sure people have told them before, but like, as every time I watch the Napoleon series, I can't help but think I'd love if they did like the French Revolution. I know there's some videos people really like the one by oversimplified, but it's a very different style of video that I'm less into myself, and I kind of wish there would be like an Epic History version of the French Revolution, like with their presentation and their flair for the epic. I'd love it. I'd love it. Epic video. Okay, well, great stuff. Hope you enjoyed the reaction. Like, subscribe, comment. Get more channel to watch Epic History, and I'll see you guys next time. See you. See you. See you.